coach Jack Daniels at the Boxers Trainers Channel. And contrary to the fact that I'm a tad late, but as the old saying goes, better late than never, or something to that effect. Anyway, um, I've been going through this week the program for Golden Boy Promotions and the card, and what I consider the super card, because it's packed with talent, right? For Golden Boy Promotions, right? The main event excuse me, for this event features Arnold Barbosa Jr. versus Kenneth Sims Jr., right? This is for the welterweight, in the welterweight division. And after doing the research on both of these guys, right, the lead up, actually, this is the lead up to the undercard, which I'll be featuring today, right? But I'm giving you the insight on the variables associated with this particular event, this particular fight, right? Featuring again by none other than Golden Boy Promotions, right? So, Kenneth Sims Jr., right, has been in the game for what, since he was like 16, 17. And contrary to the fact that he's a little younger than Barbosa, right? I don't really think, as I said before, that he stands a real dominant chance in beating Arnold Barbosa, right? But that will be a good fight because Kenneth Sims Jr. has to be hungry. He has to be hungry. He has 3 losses on his belt, under his belt, and to take another loss, is the functional equivalent of kind of like surrendering, right? So you can best believe that Kenneth Sims Jr. will come in there to win. He'll come in there with some determination, right, to beat back on Barbosa and to reestablish himself in a welterweight division, right? But the issue today is featuring females, right? And look, here's the thing. I don't think that the women in boxing, right, get the type of respect that is due them, right? You got a lot of talent in mostly all the division. Quite naturally, Carissa Shields dominates the majority of those divisions in the higher weight classes, right? I'm speaking in terms of she's went through heavyweight, she went through light heavyweight, she went through the super middleweight. I mean, she's beat a lot of people in all those divisions, and she is the multi divisional undisputed world champion, right? So it's not like that the female sector of boxing isn't packed with talent. But my thing is that I think that it's important for the people to know that the female boxing should be considered as just as elite in some cases, Carissa Shields, Elisa Baumgarten, as viable candidates to be considered for the Hall of Fame when that time comes. What I'm basically trying to convey to y'all is the females don't get enough support from the community. They don't get enough support from promoters. They don't get enough support. And I'm about to start paying more attention to the females in regards to boxing, right? You can bet your last dollar on that because of late, especially when it came to this particular event featuring Gabriela Fundora versus Viviana Corredor, right? Now, these are featherweights. And let me say this about Gabriela Fundora, right? Gabriela Fundora, what is she? What, 23 years of age? And her desire to get to the Mount Rushmore of boxing is there. She is determined, right? And she boxes in that regard. She has something to prove. Like I did the tape on her last night, and she's relentless, right? On the front foot, on the back foot, she's preferably a front foot boxer, right? She constantly moves forward, but she's a skilled adversary when it comes to being able to be in a position where she can get her punches off, right, and get out of the way, right? And look, man, as you know, that's what I'm about. I'm about boxing, right? Hitting and not get hit. And look, the same applies to the females. They, you know what I'm saying, majority of them, as far as I'm concerned, right, are good boxers. And again, it's incumbent upon me, if nobody else, right, to solidify their desires to be seen as good boxers, man. You know what I'm saying? So let the record reflect that on the Boxers Trainers channel, I will be introducing a lot of females in the sport of boxing when it comes to getting them recognition that, in my opinion, is due them, right? Gabriela Fundora is 23 years of age. She's 5'9". She's a tall, young, small woman. She's six. She has a 6.8-inch reach. She's a left-hander. She has 17 wins, 9 by knockouts, man. She has 9 knockouts to her credit as a female. I mean, that's kind of like unusual, right? I mean, you have good boxers on the female side of the pendulum, but you don't see them trying to, right, really, take people out. But I cannot say that about Gabriela Fundora. Gabriela Fundora comes into the ring with the notion, I'm knocking your ass out, excuse my French. But that's how she rolled. That's how she rolled. Gabriela Fundora is a unique boxer, man. And actually, I went through some paperwork on her, right? And she can speak about what she intends to do in the sport of boxing. You know what I mean? There's no lackluster in her verbal ability to express she coming for some smoke, and she plans on being undisputed in multiple division. And that's what I'm talking about, man. How can you not give credit to a woman that feels she's big enough and capable enough to make that type of impression? I mean, could you think of a better way to get your name publicized in the sport of boxing? She said she want all the smoke, man. Now, her opponent, Viviana Corredor, right? Look, Corredor is 43 years of age, right? She's 5'2". This is not, you know what I'm saying, in my opinion, a good matchup for Gabriela Fundora, right? This is one of those situations where, in my opinion, Fundora will, mark my word, will March 14th, Saturday, walk right through Viviana Corredor, right? Again, she's 5'2" with a 61-inch arm reach. She's a right-hander. She has 10 wins, 5 by knockout, 2 losses, never stopped no draws, right? Now, I don't want to say that she was specifically picked to fight Fundora because they wanted some fanfare behind Fundora's performance, but this is really, in my opinion, not a good pick because, like I said, and I believe that Gabriela Fundora is so talented, right, that she's gonna walk right through this girl. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Look, if I didn't feel confident in stating that, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't disrespect her opponent by taking the position that I believe that Fundora gonna walk through her. I mean, it's kind of like, in my opinion, a shoe-in for Fundora to take charge and beat this girl down, right? Look, this division has a lot of talent as well, right? But Fundora is the undisputed flyweight champion of the world. You know what I mean? So let's be perfectly clear about this particular bout, right? Again, this is featured under Golden Boy Promotions, and it's a damn good card. And there's multiple world championships bouts on this card, right? And like I said before, Saturday, I'm gonna get through all of. We're gonna walk through all of them, man, because I gotta get more consistent in bringing y'all what y'all need to know about boxing. You know what I'm saying? Standing up and not worrying so much about the numbers, but giving you guys some good content, right? Look, let me say this. Last night, for the first time, I had the opportunity to speak to my nephew, I call him, Devin the Dream Haney, man. And Bill had, I had texted Bill and told Bill that um, I wanted to be in a position where I could personally tell Devin the Dream that I was proud of him because as a young boxer, right, his accomplishments, his conduct in the sport of boxing as a professional, as a young black professional, I wanted to be one of the few people, I'm quite sure, that came to him and told him as a black older man that I was proud of his accomplishments. I was proud that he is representing himself as a young professional black man in the game, right? And that's really big to me, right? Because I'm 76, and it's not often that we shake hands. I mean that literally, right? As a people, right? We shake hands with people who have came under the same philosophy, right, as we did, but made success out of what they do. Devin the Dream Haney is an exception to that, and shout out to Bill Haney and Devin Haney. Bill has done a outstanding job raising not only Devin, but the rest of his kids, right? And all of the kids. I think the oldest one, well, the oldest boy, little Bill, right, is not actively involved in a sport, right? But not to say that there isn't some level of success even for little Bill, because he's in a family that have a lot of options available for the family in regards to being able to survive, to take care of themselves, right? And that's a beautiful thing. Shout out again to Bill Haney for making that available for his family, man. And again, there is a note of reason in this for everybody, man. Just like Bill did what he did with his family, his kids, right? There's 1,000 to over. I mean, I'm just throwing this out there. 1,000,000 people out there, right? That need they to embrace their kids. They need to simply love their kids, right? And want for their kids what the next parent want for their kids, and that's to be successful and to do better than their parents did. That's what we look for as adults, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm just so elated to be in a position that I can share this with you firsthand, coming from people that I really care a whole bunch about, and that's the Haney's. I love the Haney's, man. Yes, sometimes me and Bill, but I know now that the level of respect that a man needs to consider another man as your friend is there, right? If there was question marks, but nah, you know what I'm saying? That's my partner. That's my boy. Bill Haney is forever my partner. You know what I'm saying? And I am not just blowing smoke. I'm saying, and I think I mentioned this to him last night. I'm saying this from right there. You know what I mean? But anyway, man, back to some boxing, right? I think that the undercard alone bypasses the majority of the shows. No disrespect intended to the other promotional shows. This Golden Boy promotion and this undercard, right, is one of the best I've seen in a long time. And again, shout out to Oscar De La Hoya, right? Oscar De La Hoya, contrary to the fact that there is oftentimes negative things said about Oscar De La Hoya's behavior, right? And I wish him well in that regard. If that is true, right, you cannot, by any stretch of the imagination, say anything negative about Oscar De La Hoya's compensity to make good fights. He got a base. He got the Mexican American, the Mexican as a base of opportunity for his success, and that's a wonderful thing. I mean, it's just fantastic thing to be in a position where you can um, capitalize off your own culture. Capitalize is not a good word, but it's a realistic word, right? Because that's what we live in. We live in a capitalist society, and if you ain't a good capitalist, I mean, you're not going to fail. You're not going to succeed. You know what I mean? And we have to take notice to being good capitalists. All of us. You know what I mean? We have to be good capitalists, or you're not going to succeed. The world that we live in is full of capitalists, right? And let me say this. As to a fundamental fairness, right? I'm a good capitalist. I wasn't before, but I became a good capitalist because I had to. Because the society that we live in, right, doesn't recognize you if you're not a good capitalist. If you ain't got no money, right, you're not a good capitalist, and society is going to look at you in that light. But the same thing before the but, the same thing applies to boxing. You know what I'm saying? If you're not a good boxer, you're not a good capitalist. You know what I'm saying? Because to win in boxing, right, you have to represent a consistency to be considered as a good capitalist. You know what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm saying you have to be a good capitalist in boxing in order to sustain yourself in life, right? So again, everybody is associated with capitalism. And thanks for the thumbs up, man. I appreciate y'all in the chat. Appreciate the support. But I got a lot of good boxing content, right? I mean, a gang of it, right? And it's like before, you know what I'm saying? I think I mentioned this yesterday, right? I was kind of like trying to thrust things down y'all throat, right? It was good content, but it wasn't the type of content that I'm capable of delivering. You know what I mean? I mean, I have a special gift, as is the case with a couple of dudes that I know, right? And that gift is I have a propensity to have the gift of gab. You know what I'm saying? Let me say this: the attention span, the normal attention span of every human being precisely is between 3 and 5 seconds, right? If you can hold a person's attention span for longer than 5 seconds and he is interested in what you're saying, you have a gift, my friend. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's real talk. That is scientific talk, right? In regards to our attention span. Our attention span is like, damn. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like in order to have good good dialogue with someone, you have to have the ability to attract their attention and hold it, right? That's what makes a person suffice that can deliver behind a gift of gab. Yes, sir, absolutely. Shout out to um, Coran, 1999. Mike Tyson is the go. Absolutely, absolutely. I concur with that, man. And it's going to be a long time for we come to be in a position to face or be around another great goat like Mike Tyson. And Mike Tyson comes to mind now that you mentioned that, man. You know, I did some tape on Mike, right, back in the days when Mike was young, right? And the regiment Mike was using to build his body up to um, to be great, to become great, right? I mean, it was really, really, really sensational. The thing that he did that he put his body to in order to get to the level where he could get in the ring and basically at a heavyweight and do anything he wanted to in the ring, and that's something actually that's spectacular. The body is the condition to do a lot of the things that we do as boxers, man. You have to condition your body to be moving, you know, say your feet, your hands, the motion that you have to go through to be successful in the sport of boxing, right, is phenomenal. I mean, it's just unbelievable, right? A lot of if you pay close attention to a good boxer, right? That you know what I mean. That's good on his front foot. That's good on his back foot, right? That can catch, you know what I'm saying? Roll and deliver. Man, I'm talking about with some consistency. These are the type of boxers, right, that make boxing great, right? Like the nut says, Donald Trump, make America great again. No, make that's what makes boxing great again. When you run across good boxers that put in the work, right, that demonstrate that they're good by putting in the work and getting in the ring and demonstrating that, right? Those cats deserve a shout out because those are the type of boxers, right, who have a certain tenacity to be able to attract the fan base to them. And that's what boxing is all about, man. I mean, it's no sense in a boxer just getting in the ring and putting up his hands and getting socked up, right? No, hell no. That's disgusting. You have to be in a position psychologically where you can train yourself to be conditioned to be able to go in the ring. I say it's 12 rounds, but I say 15 rounds, right? A good boxer, I'm going to say that about Torrance Crawford. I know for a certain that Torrance Crawford was an overachiever. That's why Torrance Crawford is great. You know what I mean? I mean, we could talk about this all day about who's overachiever and who's not an overachiever. But one thing for sure and two things are certain, right? Torrance Crawford was an overachiever, right? And that's why Torrance Crawford went, what, 41 and 0? Oh, was it? Yeah, 41 and 0, right? He could have been, I mean, I really believe that Torrance Bud Crawford could have achieved over 50 and 0, as did, Floyd Mayweather Jr. I think and believe that Torrance Bud Crawford was the type of boxer, right, that could have surpassed Floyd Mayweather Jr. And I'm quite sure Floyd Mayweather Jr. would say the same. You know what I mean? Look, man, I have to go and do some chores around the house. But I want you to know that I really appreciate y'all. You know what I mean? And I'm going to do my best to be the best pundit in boxing that I can be. That being said, hit that subscription button, hit the like button, drop a comment in the comment section, and let me know what y'all think about whether we're getting enough female boxing content. Could you do that? That being said, later.